Attention, please. The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Well, it's Thursday again. After a brief interlude last week, so I can take a break and actually have my own Christmas and New Year. And we're back with a bang again, and the Blueprint Show episode 14 this week. This is the Truth, Honour and Integrity Show. My name's Thomas Williams. Enjoy the show. Well, I guess I did find my way home, otherwise we wouldn't have a show. Did you miss me? Right, this is the Blueprint Action Group report for the week ending the 21st of January 2024. And there was a change to our normal routine for the meeting this week with a new agenda that provided an opportunity to shake things up a little and get our house in order for the coming months. Tightening up our teams was one of the items for discussion, with suggestions of rotating the roles so no one person feels overburdened, or when they have to be absent for any reason, we can all still show up and produce our reports. Now, introducing a multi-team calendar that is easy to find and ensures we are not overlapping, as many members kindly donate time to several teams now. Increasing the output of emails to be sent means more input from the teams, so how and when we can achieve these goals takes good open conversation and new commitments from everyone. Now, these things may sound mundane or simple, but when you are operating from different time zones and have limited time, they become more important to create and maintain the flow. Coming to agreements and better understanding is the key to good communication, and it brings about a sense of communion and harmony, which are the main components of the flow. The book team report. In a Zoom meeting, the book team discussed the consent booklet translation, especially pertaining to implied consent, migration of the team page to the Blueprint Forum, work on the European version of the Blueprint, the books and the series to be published in the coming year, and members' current progress. The Bulgarian translator, who had a happy birthday today, is working on the second proofread of From His Story to Our Story Volume 2 and has already finished the first section. The Spanish translation of the Blueprint is being checked and an English version has been sent to the primary proofreader for comparison. At this time, the Swedish translation of the Blueprint continues with help from another translator that is fluent in that language. The Dutch translations of both the Blueprint and the consent booklet are progressing well, with consultations with the law group and other translators to aid in accuracy and also clarity. And the translator is also working on the European version of the Blueprint. Now, the German version of the Blueprint has been completed and formatted to A4 and US sizes for the PDFs, and digital versions have also been formatted. These were checked and corrected and rechecked to ensure removal of errors produced during the formatting process. The Blueprint front and back covers were created, checked and corrected for final review. And when the translator was satisfied, the German translation was sent on to the web team to be included on our site. Corrections were made to the German Divine Masculine and Divine Feminine booklet, and the web team was notified of the change. The translator is now working on to start work from His Story to Our Story Volume 2 and is sharing German memes with German groups in social media. The memes advertised in the Blueprint were created for the Bulgarian, French, Polish, Romanian, Hebrew, German and English languages, and were all sent to the media team. Now, several of the media team's existing THI and Blueprint memes have been translated and a folder created on the storage site. The original transcript for From His Story to Our Story Volume 4 has been received, and the first edits and initial formatting have been completed. And this base has been sent to the editing and proofreading team along with a list of questions about the content. The proposed afterword and back cover text has been written and sent to the editing team and Thomas for critique. The initial steps in creating an index have been completed. We have the German Divine Masculine and Feminine updated on the Think Different website, and also the German Blueprint PDF published on the Blueprint website as well. Now, because of a miscommunication, publishing of the Bulgarian Divine Masculine and Feminine booklet was delayed, and that oversight is being corrected. Now, the book team would appreciate volunteers as proofreaders and or translators. Professional credentials are not required, just fluency in a language other than English. Translation can be facilitated by the use of software, and the machine-generated translation is then corrected by the translator to better convey the meaning. Similarly, proofreaders check the text that has already been prepared to correct typos and suggest alternatives to awkward wording. The research team. The current state of the database is up from 503 to 558 names, and that number will jump in the next few days due to the efforts of 5 volunteers. The increase of 55 is due to one member sending us US Congressional Committee lead names with their emails and precinct officers too. Our shout out of thanks to him for taking the time and to send the contact details. Another member will be adding Canadian legislators as she personally contacts them, and they had the pleasure of reading the letter she is sending, and it meets the secretarial firecracker status of get this to the boss now, it is said. Good stuff. The third is the volunteer team lead, who will add the task of mining the MeWe chats for names suggested by the chat members added to her to-do list. And during the screen share of the database, team members were shown how reports are created and why 27 columns and 17 separate spreadsheets of information are needed. It's fairly extensive. We had an open discussion for system improvement suggestions, and the team came up with 7 alternative method ideas that will be implemented. And it will increase the database to 28 columns and 18 separate spreadsheets. Now, the details are in the meeting minutes if you would like to read them. The 4th and 5th volunteers were digging for the Rothschild, Rockefeller, Astors and Vanderbilts as per Thomas's recent request. And a hearty shout out of thanks to them. The data they found is now in the database. One member suggested we seek information for the Elites in Berks, Peerage, Baronage and Knightage, and one was finally found at a local genealogy research library. And surprisingly, there were home addresses for a Rothschild and an Astor, the Baron of Hever, almost found in the almost 7-inch thick book. Now, the listings included the names of the Sanctuary Men's clubs in London, and online search provided the addresses to those exclusive hideouts. The volunteer team help is greatly appreciated, and they received 60 no-info names. And they are at 80% completion point of filling in the blanks on the database as of that week. And they said, we would like to remind MeWe chat members, please be so kind to add any information you can personally find on the influencer and what they did to inspire you to suggest them. And you can count your time spent researching as a volunteer time that contributed to the cause. Now, Bulgaria is the country of the month to receive direct emails. Our member there assembled 20 priority recipients, including their president, Rumen Radev, and 19 top newspaper journalists. And the blueprint sent to Bulgarian influencers on January the 15th. And who are they? Rumen Radev, the President of the Republic of Bulgaria. The President keeps a balancing politics during his 2 mandates despite the numerous challenges. He has the highest rate of confidence amongst all of the politicians in Bulgaria, with 50 to 60% support by participants in different years. Dilyana Gaitan-Dejeva is an investigative journalist and Middle East correspondent. She did a film related to weapons deliveries to Syria during the wars in Syria and Iraq, with the country of origin Bulgaria as part of an international weapons shipment network done via 350 diplomatic flights that was organised by the United States Special Operations Command, Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates. And she also publishes material for US biolabs all over the world. Interesting stuff. Ivo Hristov is a lawyer, professor of social science and an ex-member of the parliament. He continuously states his critical position towards the mass population, who remains tolerant towards the politicians and politics, including towards Russia. He raises openly themes as lack of collective responsibilities and the demographic problem of our country, as the population decreased significantly by 2 million to 7 million in the last decades due to migration and also low birth rates. All very THI, that's last two anyway. Interesting stuff. Kostadin Kostadinov, a leader of the political party Vazradin, meaning revival, is a politician who regularly criticises the government for not defending the interests of the Bulgarian people. And for his views, he's anti-NATO, anti-American basis in Bulgaria, spreading anti-COVID narrative, anti-climate change, anti-LGBTQ points of view, and he is labelled as far-right and ultra-nationalist. He's also a historian and a lawyer, and disappointed by the current distortion of Bulgarian history in contemporary Bulgarian textbooks, he wrote a history textbook for children from the 1st to 4th grades. Marin Karbovsky is also a journalist and a writer. He has worked in almost all major Bulgarian newspapers and made a number of videos showing the life of the so-called ordinary people. And some of his films are with very sensitive topics, such as the Kusov case, a film for a Bulgarian member of parliament accused of being a pedophile and also brought to court. Abuses performed in some caretaking homes for children in Bulgaria that reached the European Parliament and others. In his YouTube channel with some 200,000 subscribers, he openly discussed the so-called sensitive topics about Bulgaria politics, foreign policies, secret societies and other. Dobrina Chesmejeva, a media person, is also a leading journalist. and Deputy Director in Bulgarian National Television. Mariela Dragolova, Media as well, a Director in Bulgarian National Television. Teodora Piva, Media, CEO and Chief Editor of Sega, meaning Now newspaper. Nadeza Daleva, editor of Trude newspaper, and Trude means labour. Borislav Zumbele, chief editor of the 24 Hours newspaper. Rumen Petkov, chief editor of Pogled, meaning View newspaper. Alexei Lazarov, chief editor of the Capital newspaper, and Velislava Popova, who's the chief editor of the Dnevnik newspaper. Martin Petrushev, young vlogger who gains more and more popularity in Bulgaria, was also sent the email, and his channel Alternative Resistance raises a number of key themes related to analysis of contemporary society and the power structures worldwide. He presents his channel as a place where one will encounter a belief in the human essence and a rational resistance to the inertial flow of the encroaching soulless world. Also, its totalitarian social credit structures and organised bioterror. Stoyan Valkov also has a YouTube channel called Choco, discussing themes such as the origin of man, different realities, possibilities of creating, with the idea to raise the vibration of the whole of humanity and create a better world. And the subscribers of his channel are 400,000. Maestro Jordan Kamdzhalov is a well-known Bulgarian conductor with philanthropic views. He is hailed by the press as a philosopher among conductors, and besides his international professional successful career as a chief conductor in Berlin and Heidelberg, Germany, Rijeka, Croatia and other projects, Kamdzhalov views the arts, science and philosophy as interconnected. And via his foundation he supports a number of young talents. He has a strong social stand and presence and shares critical views for society that lives with no true virtues. And he was firmly against the fear-based state mandatory policy in the last few years. Petr Klisarov is a politician and a political science and author of several books. He was a representative for Bulgaria in Canadian State Corporation for Nuclear Energy and was a general manager for Bulgarian ACOM, which is the largest engineering consultancy corporation in the world. And he provides detailed analysis of the socially and the recent global development. Svetla Nikolova, a PhD in chemistry and an activist for pure organic nature. And regarding recent proposals of the European Union to change the regulations in Europe to allow GMO and their new name, the New Genome Technologies. And she was one of the main initiators to organise roundtable discussions to present the problem and give a voice to this potential major threat with irreversible consequences to the people and nature in case they are voted by the EU Parliament. And the key risks being no labelling of GMO products envisaged, patent-based and people and soil poisoning. Miroluba Benetova is an investigative journalist. She was a reporter in two major Bulgarian televisions, BTV and Nova TV, and she was chosen chosen by BTV Reporter of the Decade, where she hosted the investigative journalism programme called The Hounds. But the show was shortly suspended, and she has investigated Bulgarians involved in cocaine trafficking, the draining of the Dutch welfare system by the Bulgarian Roma, organised begging in Sweden, and successful Bulgarians in America, and a series about unknown successful Bulgarians across the ocean. Now, after Nova TV terminated a contract in 2019, she then became a taxi driver. Now, last month, our focus was to contact 9 mainstream broadcast media national editors and 8 print and online media content editors, and we exceeded that goal. We found 18 mainstream and 11 print online with telephone numbers. Our researcher quickly realised the futility of calling them, and the media giant telephone switchboard operators generally have little clue as to whom the caller needs to speak to, even after giving the name and the job title. Jackasses. Nonetheless, contact information for the list of affiliates as reported in December was sent as requested to the chief THI admin before the end of the year, and he will determine who will get the books and to whom the PDFs will be sent and what month this year. I have kind of held that up in the past month, busy with shows and other things, but I will endeavour over this next week to get those books that were selected out. Now, this month we were able to identify additional people within the media to contact, and on that prospective list of mainstream and broadcast media are the Associated Press, Julie Pace, Senior Vice President and Executive Editor, Reuters, now called Thomson Reuters, CIA, Rob Doherty, General Manager at Washington, D.C., Disney ABC News, Stacia Phillips-Deshishku, who is the Executive Editor and Senior Vice President, BBC America, Sarah Smith, the North American Editor, CBS, Bill Owens, the Executive Producer of 60 Minutes, CBS, Mary Harger, the Executive Producer of Face the Nation, CBS, Brian Applegate, Executive Producer, CBS, Sat AM, and CBS, Nikki Bastiste, National Correspondent, CNBC, Nick Dunn, Managing Director and Executive Editor, CNN, Wendy Brundage, and Senior Vice President of Content Strategy, CNN Digital and CNN Digital Worldwide. Fox News, Porter Berry, the Executive Vice President and Editor-in-Chief. ITN America, Independent Television News, will need to be contacted via their website contact form. MSNBC, Matt Schnars, President Content Distribution. MSNBC, Meredith Bennett Smith, Managing Editor. MSNBC, Haley Miller, Senior Blogs Editor. NBC, Tom Namoko, Executive Editor. Democracy Now! Productions, Amy Goodman, Host and Executive Producer. Democracy Now! Productions, Juan Gonzalez, who is the co-host. The print and online media to be contacted are Al Jazeera America, Amjad Atala, Executive Vice President and Content Editor-in-Chief. The Forbes Media, Mike Fidel, who's the CEO. Forbes Media, Randall Lane, the Chief Content Officer. Forbes Media, Joyce Bautista Ferrari, Managing Editor. The Huffington Post, Danielle C. Belton, Editor-in-Chief. New York Times, Joe Kahn, Executive Editor. The Economist Group, Tom Amos in the press office. Now, the Washington Post info is not yet located, but Washington Times, Christopher Dolan, president and executive editor, and Zero Hedge, Daniel Ivan Dezhicki, who's the publisher, and NNN, Next News Network, Gary S. Franchi Jr., who's the executive producer and lead anchor, will be at the top of the next list. Quite a detailed list that is, and it shows how busy the research and all the other teams have been, and all the volunteers, etc., etc. But that wasn't enough, because further research is ongoing for specific lead anchors based on a survey ranking them by survey viewers' votes. And since we had the top national mainstream list of executives accumulated, it seemed a good idea to use the wine press method for getting directions into the national maze known by locals in the business. And it requires a foot on the pavement, ground level, face-to-face approach. Now, getting an appointment with even one editor was the quest. And some local stories bubble up to the top, and so why not the blueprint? And that idea turned out to be educational, disappointing, and also surprising. ABC, CBS and Fox were visited first, and their doors were locked, and each of their receptionists greeted a visitor via the video doorbell. Now, each had to speak to their supervisor to get the same answer of no more local programming. All news feeds come from NBC, and we are unable to provide an email to anyone at our corporate headquarters. Now, the ABC and Fox stations' receptionists opened the door to see the book and received the bulletin board flyer with the member's business card. PBS was open-doored, allowed visitors, and an impromptu meeting with the director did take place. He said the same thing: local programming is no longer being funded, and they are too in the NBC newsfeed loop. Now, he kindly advised not to bother visiting the other stations and said he would feed the information on the flyer up the chain as best he could. There was no guarantee he could reach Amy Goodman of Democracy Now! Any better than our member could with the email addresses already found. Now, as a side note, the member did actually call Democracy Now! Productions and was able to leave Amy Goodman a voicemail. NBC was the last on the visit route, and the door was locked, had the same video doorbell system and young receptionist, but the member finally achieved success. And they came away with the business card of the assignment editor to make an appointment with for next week, and was able to leave the bulletin board flyer with the member's business card. Now, our member called the editor and left a detailed voicemail. The call was promptly returned and lasted 26 minutes. And the editor asked how we stood on religion and cryptocurrency. Bizarre, differing pieces to discuss there. And wanted the background of our group, how we all managed to meet to put the book together, and where do we get the information from contained in the book. Now, the telecom meeting concluded with the request to email the blueprint information directly to an exclusive full newsroom email address that only he uses to feed permissible content assignments to his team of reporters. And any of them can access the blueprint links, select the solution relative to their reporting niche, and have his stamp of approval in one fell swoop. Now, the editor also requested a courtesy copy to his personal email address as well. And so the quest mission was accomplished, even if it was just a telecon meeting. Now, time will tell if there is a ripple in the water beyond the phone call. And moving forward into the month, our team's immediate goal is to start contacting our list of influencers who prefer to use the use of their website contact forms. A member advises that this seems zip codes are required to help the influencer sort the requests to prioritise people in their areas. Now, the need for local zip code adds another task to our list of to-dos and semi-stalls the project. Other members felt that just the team leads should take the job on, as they are more able to steer the obstacle course to overcome roadblocks and prevent a progress disruption. Now, in other business, a full year 2024 Zoom meeting calendar for all team leads was screen shared for our team to review, and the finishing touches are being added to include holidays that may impact different groups' meetings, day or times. A rough draft has been sent to Thomas and Todd for feedback of any suggestions. Todd attended our meeting and gave it the nod. A discussion about including the Zoom links for each team concluded with a resounding no, and we agreed that such a list should only be provided in a separate document to Thomas, Todd and the team leads. Now, many of the groups are small work groups that expand by invitation only, and the calendar will be helpful for the team leads when adding a special meeting for their group or to move their meetings around a holiday. And many members are in several groups, and often meeting time conflicts can then be avoided. The team also viewed the calendar and our meetings in relation to the report deadlines and to where the Blueprint Show episodes landed in relation to our alternate Sunday morning meetings. And we found we were out of rhythm. A team member suggests meeting on a different alternate Sunday to synchronise report writing for the Blueprint shows. And all attending members said that they were able to make that change if it helps, and so now they are back in sync. Our team database manager and our secretary attended the web team meeting, and each of them gave us a report about the new website forum interface. They gave us an overview of the system, told us how to get each signed up in it, and let us know that our database manager had volunteered to moderate our team section in it. And it should give him the administrative ability to add and delete files. Our research team location will be in the subgroup of the Blueprint Action Group, and we look forward to the migration away from MeWe with hopes that it will reduce all the emails we exchange now. We plan to attend the Forum Work Team Zoom meeting to help write tutorials for newcomers. Next, our web team representative gave us more information about the will do and won't do aspects of the migration to the website forum, and he also explained the easy sign-up process with the security of the site. And during a Q&A about it, the group agreed to let the website roll out before requesting any additions, as there is no need to rush the website development process. The site is already amazing. Media team report next. And the media team had a visitor to the meeting in this week. The purpose was to discuss ways of improving how we get the word out on Twitter. And we also have a new member that has taken on the role of running that account for us. And the consensus of this was, in the future we will share any Twitter posts in the Blueprint group, and the intention is to ask the members to comment on specific influencers' posts, and the names of these accounts will be put up in the Blueprint chat. Now you can help by either sharing the Blueprint website link, a Blueprint meme, or a comment on these accounts. And we are trying to create a flow within the group that we can then spread out if more people come on board with this idea. And we hope this will get people to enjoy the challenge and report on any interactions they may have had with these accounts in the chat. We would appreciate anyone that wants to get involved with this to leave a comment, and we will add you to the chat. We have started the practice of job sharing within the media group, and the aim of this is to lessen the load of one person doing one task all the time and rotation. And this gives everyone a chance to choose what they want to post, and therefore it spices things up a bit. The media group is a 7-day-a-week job. The only day we did not post last year was Christmas Day. We also have a system where if one person needs a break or cannot do something they had agreed to do, one of us will step in. And this means that people are not feeling guilty or pressured, and this helps to keep a flow going and makes it more enjoyable. Job sharing also gives new skills and a sense of equality within the group, and this avoids the need for a leader. And while it is important to have a spokesperson to communicate with the other groups, growing of each other's confidence ensures we are all achieving together. We also have a member that supplies us with great pieces from the shows, and this aids us greatly as we do not have to spend hours looking for subject matter to create the memes and the videos. And each platform prefers certain styles of memes or videos, so this year we will hone in on making several types of material that will then create a better pool to choose from. And we have had requests to open more social media accounts. Oh no. But at present, we are focusing on growing the ones we have. Good thinking. And we would appreciate if members could help by choosing a certain platform, then follow us, like the content and share with others daily or at least a few times a week. We need the members to really get behind the accounts this year and push the message out far and wide. And so as you can see, there are many aspects to being part of the media team, and we accept any type of help you feel you can give. If you feel you can help the media team in any way or the Twitter posting team, please contact Susan McCann on MeWe. The youth team report is next. And the initial video content by the team is nearing completion as we look forward to finalising what is required to launch the youth website and bring youth into the space. Discussions and sample image ideas for the You Think Different logo are being created by the team to seek feedback on it and then onto deciding on the logo. We have received the first blog post entry for the youth website provided by a youth and are keen to have more youths contributing to the blog to speak their truth. Your stories videos are being currently created by youth as well, with a call to action to encourage other youths to see the value in their life challenges and experiences, plus to share their stories to inspire others. And we would love to hear from more youths, especially those wanting to contribute to the Tell a Vision section, telling the world what you envision for the future of humanity. Feedback from the youth about the You Think Different website concept and content has been helpful for the team to us to think different and to see things clearer from a youth perspective. And we thank all youth that have shared their honest feedback for this intergenerational co-creation. And your feedback shapes the space we are creating for you. Next is the website, or the web team update, sorry. And since the launch of the Organic Living website on November 23rd, 2023, we have received great feedback from THI members for the fresh look and feel of the website, and most importantly, the wealth and quality of the content available. Steve from the gardening team now tells us that he receives great feedback for Organic Living on MeWe from non-THI members. And this is great to hear. Both the gardening and web teams are very pleased with this feedback. Good web design obviously helps attract visitors, but as important, if not more important, is the quality of the content presented. And we have seen this before with the Blueprint website, where the quality and uniqueness of the content speaks for itself. The web design and images complement this perfectly. And we have every confidence that the same success formula is being applied to the Youth Think project, which is currently in development by the youth and web teams. Now, after months of sustained work, we are pleased to announce the launch of the new THI Encyclopedia. This is an improved and enhanced archive of THI shows with a new web interface which allows those interested to listen to the THI shows and read the transcript at the same time, all on the same page. And we know this feature will be of great help and also be liked by our increasing audience who are not native English speakers. That said, knowing how deep, wide-ranging and often technical THI shows are, and that even English speakers often require multiple listens to check the transcripts to grasp the message fully, we know they will also benefit from using the new THI Encyclopedia. Now, this project has been completed thanks to many hours of dedication and attention to detail, which Dave in particular put into and Aris also put in. Stephen has also contributed in a significant way. In fact, this project was the first one where we consistently had more people involved. The requisite tasks were assigned based on people's strength and talents, and this way results were surprisingly quick, which was great to see. Holly and Kyoko from the indexing team also contributed to this project by providing the show's topics data, which can be used as search terms on the new website. And we want to say thank you very much to all involved for their contribution and dedication. Now, the new THI Encyclopedia can be accessed at archive.thi-show.com, and it does not require users to log in. Now, currently over 300 normal THI shows have the new web interface. The must listen to shows, which can be accessed via the special show timelines, like From His Story to Our Story, From His Story to Our Story Plus, the Expose series, the Special Show series, as well as the Blueprint shows. These 100 or so shows do not currently have the new web interface, and this will be stage 2 of this project. Now, you will notice that all shows available on the new THI Encyclopedia are over 90 days old. This is due to the fact that transcripts less than 90 days are available only on the thi-show.com to the 3 paid membership tiers that are available. tiny, ponder and common sense. Now, the THI Encyclopedia will be updated on a monthly basis with any new normal and must-listen to shows over 90 days. And in closing, we are really pleased to launch this new sister webpage to thi-show.com, and a great deal of work and dedication has gone into creating it. We know it will be a great resource for regular THI members, as well as new people wanting to join us on the journey. Please share the website with friends and on social media, and do let us know your feedback and also improvement ideas. Finally, in overview, the main ingredients listed above are a culmination of brainstorming, funneling ideas, creating structure, cooperation and determination. And these all end up becoming the words on a page that provides an update for the listeners. Most of the people anonymous and humble, working for the all, not the one. And these people all hold a belief strongly in their hearts that we can be the change, and indeed are the change. They have let go of limiting belief systems, control systems and little me syndrome in the process of stepping forward. No one wants to be paid, all wants their names in lights. In fact, it's quite the opposite. Some are shy, some are outspoken, but all get heard and seen. The greatest enemy is yourself, your thought system, and your low self-esteem. And all of the above are climbing out of those man-made rabbit holes. The powers that be, or were, revelled in the fact that the superimposed image of them on us was producing their greatest story ever told, our destruction. Well, we do not consent and are producing our story now. It is now in the mainstream media, changing the mindsets of many. The planting of seeds are popping up everywhere. And yes, I can agree with that. We are changing their language back to ours, as THI has created a new language with words that spell check tries to override at every opportunity, which is a fun fact. Pressing ignore gives immense pleasure while producing these reports. In fact, it would be better if it was said, I do not consent. And we are changing things one thought at a time, one meme at a time, one book at a time, and one community coming together at a time. This is our time. Spend it wisely. Right, this next piece, I kind of run out of what is species, what is life, what is value. I kind of went through the full, and so I had to come up with a different piece that has a blueprint theme. And it's a bit of a tip upside the head piece. And so it should, to be quite honest. And it will be an interesting piece that draws many ponderings and also conclusions. It is the story of life here, our roles within it, that will draw many conclusions. My personal conclusion is this world is a lunatic asylum. A prison of our own making and mind. And it beggars belief the stupidity programs we all undertake, and don't think I'm left out of this, because I'm not, that creates illusion, sickness, suffering, and absence of a connection to what is essential. And if you can unlearn the stupidity at the same pace you gorged upon it, then time, life and reason can all be sped up onto a more upward trajectory of our own making. Life is uncertain, they say. Indeed it is. But have you ever asked yourself as to why? Because you missed who, what or where you are. Life is but a dream. Then why do we always turn it into a nightmare? So I'm going to go through some of the categories of Lunatic Asylum. And we're going to start with the lead one, religion. Because never has a program been so deep that it affords the followers to completely lose their minds, thinking patterns and sanity. We are told God wrote a book, which suggests God is in physical form, and yet the God source is not in the physical and so could never write a book. So who wrote the book? We don't know. Okay, if we don't know who wrote the book, how can we possibly know if it is true? You can't, and it's the old failing of making assumptions again. But religion makes people believe the most fantastical conspiracy theories ever devised. Have you ever seen a talking snake? Have you ever seen a bush go on fire and then talk to you? Have you ever seen one man part an ocean? And have you ever seen a man walk on water? And what would happen if you went to a police station, Walmart, or a government building and started rocking back and forth and kissing the wall? Likely medication and a straitjacket, but not in religion. And this God they follow sits on a cloud passing judgment and is here just to save one group of people, we are told. Yet where was their God when the chosen ones were in the concentration camps? Allah, the saviour of the Muslims, where has he been whilst the Israelis bludgeoned them? Where is the Indian God saving the 7,000 Indians who die every day? And why does the Mormon church steal 10 to 20% of their followers' money and people not ask why? You do realise that is extortion, don't you? Why do people go to church but never develop themselves? Priests, nuns and pastors call themselves messengers of God. But who appointed them? Why does the Holy Book speak of incest, bestiality, anger, retribution and violence? Why do the parishioners ignore the behaviour of pedophile priests and nuns? And if Jesus went against the money makers, why did churchgoers hand over their money to the church? Schooling. Who said that all teachers are knowledgeable and fitting to teach your child? How can you trust a teacher you have never met or vetted? And what type of parent are you that allows schools to teach about blowjobs, masturbation and transsexuals in an early grade classroom? That allows transsexuals to come in and perform what is essentially pole dancing in front of the children? That teaches your child pronouns that have no relevance to developing the child for later in life? You send your children to school, and yet you trust the teachers you have never met. Whereby in the past, let's not forget, they did nuclear bomb tests with desks. But people never saw they were putting their children in abject fear. Why would you send your children to have an education when education means the training of animals? Why would you send your children to be indoctrinated into programs? As a parent, did you see the programs they were preparing for your child? Why do your children come out of school with no knowledge or preparation for adulthood? And why would you spend your hard-earned money to enrol them into another indoctrination program called college? $50,000 to $100,000 for a few pieces of paper, and to what end? Why would you send your child to college and put them in massive amounts of debt and ruining their lives before it started? Why would you send a child to school that teaches your child how not to think for themselves? A school that closes down critical thinking, which is fascism, and yet you didn't notice, did you? Because you went to school as well and didn't think either. Why in the sciences are people taught not to think about as above so below, and as within and so without? And why do our children not know how to do a simple math sum in their own heads? Media. Why would you trust people who are animated figures inside of a box that you've never met? Why do you believe their narrative? Do they show you proof of their claims? Have they been shown to do fake scenes? Have they been caught using green screen technology? Why is every news channel saying the exact same words? Do you remember the Church report? Why is the CIA running the media 60 years after the Church report? And why would you trust people who lie or run agendas against us every time they move their mouths? People. Who said we had to put ourselves in fear? Who said we have to put ourselves in low self-worth? Why do people devalue themselves so much? And who said we had to victimize ourselves and each other? Who said denying or avoiding love was a path to take? And who said we had to avoid the truth at all costs? Why is the lie also seductive? Who said ignoring the problems will make them all go away? Why do people amaze themselves with the illusion of it all? And when you get ready to escape the maze, you build walls or move them to block it. Amazement, a trap for the mind. Why do we have eyes but don't see? Why do we have ears but don't listen? Why do we have mouths but don't speak out against wrongdoing? And why do we have brains and not think? Who said it was beneficial to not think? Are people aware they only operate in duality with other people's choices? Do people realise there is a triality aspect, which is you? Why do we have hearts but not love? And who said developing the self was not a worthy cause? Why do people complain all the time, yet never work to change anything? How can you change anything for the better if A, you won't change, and B, you fear change? Why do people worry about not sleeping? Why do people complain about their jobs, yet never change it? Why do people complain about where they live, but never move? Why do people complain about their friends, yet never change them? Why do people complain about their partners, yet never change them also? And why do people complain about their lifestyle, yet never endeavour to change it? Why do people tolerate so much shit, yet never change it? And why do people fear change, which then keeps the poor life or lifestyles in place? And why do people say they want things, but never take any steps to do it? Government. Have the government ever done anything for our benefit? If no, why are you still voting? Have the government spent our money for the benefit of the people? Have you worked out yet that both parties are in bed with each other and both are corrupt? Why do we accept the lesser of two evils? Have you realised yet that governments have no money, only our money? Have you realised America hasn't had a government since 1871? If so, why do you vote? Do you realise voting is giving consent for them to run the for-profit corporation against us? You do realise all the voting machines are rigged, yet you still vote. You do realise the candidates we are asked to vote on are their choices, not ours. And why does the government policies create the debt, yet never pay it back? Why did the government bond us all and sold us as slaves for the debt they created in 1933? Military and agencies. Have you worked out yet that the US military is not for our benefit or there to protect Americans yet? How since World War II has America attacked 81 countries and yet America has never been attacked? People will say, what about 9/11? I will say, do you still believe the official story? What are we paying $1 trillion a year for? And why did the Rothschilds and the Vatican claim ownership of the US military? Why didn't the American government sue them for the return of all of the people's money spent on the military if we don't own it? Why is war a profit for the military and the bankers? Why would you send your sons and daughters into the military for lines on a piece of paper called a map? Why is it an honour to send your children into the military to be potentially sacrificed for shekel makers and lines on a piece of paper? Why did they tell you that you will be a soul dyer, and yet you still signed up? Did anyone ask why you had to fight for your country when you have never been attacked? Why do people say we have won the war, and yet thousands of their own people died? Why does the military give out badges for killing people? Why do we need agency spies? What is their value for the people? Why do agencies do the worst atrocities and yet allowed to do so without questioning or justice? Why do agencies think they are intelligent when acting like glorified criminals and perverts snooping into people's lives? And if agencies have files on all people, who keeps the files on them? Next, mental health. This is fitting, if ever there was one. How can people trust mental health experts when you don't know whether they've been trained properly? That may appear to the non-thinking a stupid question. It's not. You don't know whether a teacher is trained properly. You don't know whether a nurse, a doctor, a politician, a mental health expert, social services, child protection, I could go on and on and on. And if they were all trained properly, why does none of their departments work? But how can a mental health centre operate as experts and yet miss a key component of the diagnosis? Host possession. Why is confining patients and giving them experimental drugs all day called rehabilitation? Does it work? And why do we need a mental health centre at all if most operate as lunatics? Is not the planet the centre, health or otherwise? Food. Did they ask for our permission to put dangerous chemicals and additives in our food? Why did we not request it or challenge it? And if certain foods are unhealthy, why was it approved in the first place? Why have we allowed the government carte blanche to run our food industries? And given food is an essential component of our lives, why are we not allowed to grow our own in many areas? But if food is essential, why is it denied to half of the planet? And how can a planet that produces enough food for 3 planets yet have half of the people starving? Why do people become vegans and say they are caring for animals and yet eat their food? Why do people pay over the odds for the same item because it says it's organic, yet never asked or challenged as to why all food is not organic? The same applies to water, denied to many on the planet. Water is not a human right, said Nestle. How and why have we allowed them to claim much of our water rights then? And why is bottled water more costly than gas, beer or wine? Banks. You do realise they are not protecting your money, don't you? You do realise banks have no money, only ours. And you do realise that 90% of your money is used to make loans to us, and they charge interest on it and steal our money. Why did we allow banks to charge us for collecting our money from an ATM? And why are interest rates on loans higher than savings? Medical. Why do we trust medical people when we don't even know them? Did you check their qualifications? Did you check their background? Did you take into account a third of all deaths in America is medical malpractice? And if a doctor is called a practice, how are the experts? Why does a doctor or nurse, despite 7 years training, not spend a single second learning about cures? And why do people themselves not believe they are the healers? Medicine. For a few hundred years, all medicine stated poison on the bottle, yet people still took it. In early medicine, cocaine was used. Why is it now illegal? And when you are prescribed medicine, do you ask the doctor what is in the medicine? Do you know whether even the doctor knows what's in it? And if the doctor doesn't know, why would you take it? The ultimate in Lunatic Asylum was the COVID situation. Do you not see that yet? We were told it was experimental. We were told it was pushed out 10 years before normal approval of vaccines. We were told the manufacturers and sellers of the vaccines were immune from prosecution. Why did those facts not raise suspicions at least, or red flags everywhere? But people still took it. You were told for your own safety they would use mandates for lockdowns. Did you know a mandate is not law? You were then told to lock down based upon a non-lawful act. But people still enforced their own lockdowns. You were told to wear masks. Did you know it says on the mask box, not for use against COVID or other illnesses and not for long-term use? But people still used them. You were then told you had to keep 6 feet apart for your own safety again. How did the virus know it only had a range of 6 feet? Did you get the significance of 6 feet? It is the depth they bury you. But people still did it. If smoking was bad for you, why did they recommend it? And if smoking was bad for you, why was that category of people the least affected by COVID? The Jones Asylum. Does anyone know who the Joneses are that we have to keep up with? Why, if someone in your circle buys an item, do we feel we have to A, buy one as well, and B, buy a better or more expensive one? Is that not competitive and comparative? Is that not trying to beat your own friends and colleagues? Why would we do that? Why do we buy a house knowing we are only a tenant? And if we are only a tenant, why do we have to do maintenance on the house? And for those in the Joneses program, why is nothing ever enough? For those in the Jones program, how is that debt paying off working? For people who bought electric vehicles, did you factor in the cost of lost time to fill it up? Did you factor in the cost of replacing the battery into the cost between cost per mile? And did you factor in the government had put in no infrastructure to facilitate this change of energy use? Status. Why are pieces of paper with numbers on declared as your status in life? Why are people buying overpriced goods as an example of your status? Why is learning the ability to copy and repeat at school but not think considered a status act? To be certified. Well, to go into a lunatic asylum, you are certifiable, remember? So keep collecting your certificates so you can be certified. Why is the roof over your head declared a status symbol? Why is beauty a status symbol? Why do people use cosmetics that have dangerous chemicals to look better than others? Why do people have plastic surgery for cosmetic reasons, to look better than others? Why do people put Botox in their lips and under their eyes, to look better than others? Why do people doing Botox not learn they look fine without it? And why would looking like a fish be considered a beauty look? In overview, does buying material or beauty items make us feel better about ourselves or into better people? Why do people buy a boat and use it only a couple of times a year? Did they ever consider that renting would be cheaper? Or does that not fit the status symbol? Why do people buy expensive cars when all working cars get you from A to B? Why do people have expensive phones when all phones can dial or text? And why do people pay extortionate prices for items with a recognised name on them? Lunacy. Life. Why do people, when they are young, want to be like an adult, yet when they are an adult, they wish to be young again? Why do people do and say the most stupidest things ever, yet never realise it? Why has common sense thinking now become almost genius levels of operating? Why do people fight each other or argue with each other for the goal of winning? What are you winning? If exercising and keeping fit worked, why are there so many people sick or dying? If music speaks to us, why don't we listen? If people are afraid of flying, why do they call it a terminal? All this fear, and yet where is the love? We don't afford that too much of ourselves or to each other, do we? Why is tolerance and trust of these systems not afforded to ourselves or each other? And why is the love of authority not afforded to ourselves or each other? You do realise all of the above mentioned doesn't work too well as a system, or never worked at all for the benefit of the people who are paying for it. If you buy an item in the shop and it doesn't work, you would send it back. Yet we never do that in our everyday lives. Why do people believe in systems and people, and yet don't believe in yourself? Why have we not questioned what is life, what is living, what is value, what is real, what is illusion, what is time? Why are we all on borrowed time, as they say? Is that saying life is all about paying back a debt? What is human and what is love? If love conquers all, why didn't we use that in wars? Is this a lunatic asylum? It certainly looks, feels and acts that way. And it's time to change it, is it not? And the blueprint can do that. This has been the Truth, Honour and Integrity Show. My name's Thomas Williams. Bye for now.